So Eric Salahab here, your online instructional coach. I am also a philosophy teacher from the Larimer campus. I will be facilitating week 2. So it is Sunday morning, about 9:30. I thought I would go ahead and do this video for you. I will post it. You're probably watching this on Monday. So congratulations on completing week 1 of the 4-week online instructor certification training. I participated by reading a little bit last week, but I was not following everything. Like you, I imagine, are really busy. I was pretty busy last week too, but I have carved out some time for week 2, and I'm really looking forward to working with you this week. Let me give you a little bit of an overview about what we're going to be doing. First of all, I am doing this via screencast. We're going to be talking about screencasting this week, and I know you're going to be hearing more about screencasting and probably doing some screencasting later in this online instructor certification training. So just FYI, I use screencast-o-matic.com. I upload those to YouTube, and then I'm embedding that YouTube video right here into the news item. I'm at home right now on my laptop, so I don't think the audio quality is quite as good as I get in my office, but so be it, right? I mean, that's really what these screencasts are about for me as a teacher, is a way to directly reach out to my students. I get to feel like a teacher, and a little bit of spontaneity and the fact that, you know, I am who I am and I'm going to stumble over my words. That's just who I am as a teacher, so I never attempt to make these perfect. Maybe that just takes the pressure off of me. So I'm going to move my little talking head over to the corner. And I'll just let you know, I don't really enjoy seeing my little talking head in the corner, but we have found, based on action research here at Front Range, and research from other places tells us that students, anyone really, has a better ability to pay attention to a video if there's a face in the video. And so I put the talking head in the video every time, and sometimes I hide the face if I want you to see something behind it, but I usually put it there. So if you go to the content area, I'm actually down here in week 2. I want to give you an overview of what we're going to be doing this week. So at the very top, I have the goals and outcomes for the week. We're going to be exploring what I think is an essential element in a successful online class, both for the teacher and the student, and this is instructor engagement and teacher presence, and also really looking at your workload. How many hours a week do you have to spend in your class? How many hours a week do you want your students to spend in the class? And how do you divide those hours out into teaching time, grading time, independent student work? And how do you communicate those distinctions within your class to your students in a way that lets them know what's going on, so they know where to expect to see you, when to expect to see you, so you can feel like you know when you get to do your teaching. And I know as a teacher, you want to be a teacher. And so I'm going to really ask you to think about what that means in an online class, and how you carve out that teaching time, and how we communicate expectations to students. So what are we going to be doing this week? I'm expecting you to spend about 4 hours, and so you're probably going to want to start here with the checklist and agenda. I'm going to hide my little talking head here. At the very top, I have a checklist, and this is something that is now part of our online instructor quality guidelines, right? So every week should have a checklist so your students know exactly what they need to accomplish that week. So this is what you need to accomplish this week. Read the goals and outcomes. I'm actually reading them to you right now. Watch the welcome video. Well, you're watching that welcome video. Check something off. Go to the content area, review the contents, complete 2 guided thinking activities, and then participate in 2 online discussions. And so the checklist is a quick way to look at all the things due this week. And if you scroll down, you're going to see more details on what I want you to do this week. So, you know, as you talked about last week, it can be, I know you're busy, and so I've worked hard to try to make sure that you can accomplish the work in this class in around 4 hours a week. It's hard to figure out how long it takes students to accomplish work. The facilitators of this online instructor certification course over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 semesters have worked every semester to try to be more efficient, to try to take out busy work and extraneous stuff and really try to hone in on exactly what we really care about And every semester we take stuff out, and every semester we still often hear that it takes more time than 4 hours. So be it, right? Some people read a little bit faster, some people take more time, some people write more diligently or spend more time writing or reading, some people read more discussion posts. And I guess just from me to you, that's something you're going to want to think about when you're teaching. How do you really figure out how long an activity is going to take, and how do you set up those expectations for students? So I don't expect you to spend more than about 4 hours a week this week, and so that might mean you only have time for a little bit of discussion, and that's okay. So let me talk briefly about the guided thinking activities. It may be something you've never seen before. So there's a quiz tool in D2L, and the guided thinking activities are in the quiz tool, but they're not quizzes. Right? The quiz tool in D2L is a tool, and it can be used for lots of different things. Quizzes for sure, but also what I call guided thinking activities. This is something that I use in my own class. I co-teach an online learning community with Carrie Mitchell. I teach ethics with Writing 121, and we both, totally integrate those things into one class. And Carrie and I include guided thinking activities, one or two every week. And we put these in our classes a few years ago as a way to help students manage their time. When we want students to study, it's often not clear what that means. And so we set up these guided thinking activities to actually help students keep time on task and actually do their studying in a way that's really productive. Guided thinking activities help a student work through material, reading, watching videos, doing work, processing, doing formative work, thinking, and because they're in the quiz tool, Carrie and I can then go in and look and see what were the students doing while they were thinking. So there are two of them, guided thinking activity on pedagogical design and one on teacher presence. Each one of them is going to take you about an hour, and I'm just going to go ahead and preview to show you kind of what they're going to look like. They both look pretty much the same. And they are a series of short video clips. And so question one is going to ask you to watch this embedded video and then take a few minutes to think, and if you want to jot down a few ideas, and then go on to the next video clip and you do the same thing. And so there's about an hour worth of video clips, not quite. And so if you took an hour to watch the video in each of these and then a few minutes to type, it's going to take you a little over 2 hours to complete these two guided thinking activities. This is what, for me, an online class is all about. Allowing students to do formative work, allowing teachers to get in there and capture the teachable moment. Here's the other thing it'll do. When you complete each guided thinking activity, it will open for you, right, a discussion area. And so week 2, we have discussion about pedagogical planning that you can gain access to once you complete that activity. So what does this do? You can know that if you're in this discussion, the colleagues that you're having discussions with have also completed that activity. So you know that everyone in that discussion has a baseline understanding of some sort of content, and so our discussions can be focused. One of the most difficult things in an online class is when students are in discussions talking about something that they don't know anything about, and that can lead to very unproductive and inefficient discussions. And so one way to manage discussions is to make sure students know what they're talking about before they get in there. So you're going to do 2 guided thinking activities. When you complete them, you're going to gain access to discussion topics that are going to let you and your cohort, your classmates, your colleagues that are in the online instructor certification with you actually dig in and talk about this stuff. So what am I going to be doing? Well, I'm a learner facilitator. I created all that content. I built those guided thinking activities. Those were kind of like the things I would lecture on if we had a face-to-face class. And really, if this were a real class, I would expect you to do more than 1 hour of work, right? There's an hour worth of video. If you were my students in an actual online class, I would have said, take 2 hours for each of those guided thinking activities. Watch the video clip, and then spend 5 minutes actually typing your answers out there. And then what would I have gotten to do as the teacher? I would have had the chance to go in and actually look at those guided thinking activities and give feedback. I could have sent you individualized feedback, but probably what I would have done is I would have created a screencast and offered about 10 minutes of an overview feedback of what the class did in that guided thinking activity, right? By copying, pasting, best practices, identifying misconceptions, And so I would have been able to offer feedback almost immediately after that guided thinking activity closed, so all the students could get a sense of how did they do, what were my comments, and then when we go into the discussions, everybody can be focused on talking about good stuff. I'm just looking at my clock. I'm over 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and close out, but just let you know I'm really, really looking forward to working with you this week. I know guided thinking activities are something new, but I hope that you enjoy them, and I hope you think about them from two perspectives. One, how do they help you in discussions this week as a student in an online class? And how might they help you as a teacher and a designer of an online class think a little bit differently about what some of the possibilities are of ways of using the quiz tool? Let me offer one more minute since I'm already here. So I'm going to do something else new. You probably haven't seen guided thinking activities, and I'm going to ask you to follow some discussion protocols. Again, these are rules that I use in my own online class. Why am I asking you to follow these rules? Number one, to let you know that when you're the teacher and designer of a class, you will come up with the rules that you want your students to follow. And you may have some rules, you may not know what rules you want, but as the designer, you want to help your students figure out what's the best way to succeed in online discussion. This is the way I have found that I can help my students succeed. It may not work for you, so I encourage you to follow these rules for this week. You're not going to lose points if you don't, but play along, mainly because I hope you can see as a student, what is it like to be guided by rules? Do you not like the rules? And then think about from a student standpoint, they may not like your rules. So how do you talk about those rules and explain why you have them? So here's what I want you to do this week. When you reply to a discussion post, always include an original title. Right? D2L will create a default title. When you hit reply, D2L is going to insert a default title for your reply. And it's basically going to be RE : the title of the post you're replying to. And so when you scroll down in a discussion, often you see many, many titles that are identical. Now for me as a reader, that's not very helpful, right? I don't know which to click on unless I have to start at the top. So I want you to, when you reply, you must have a reason that you're replying. Use that title to highlight the main idea in your reply, advertise it and summarize it. So this is also, right, this is, I'm asking my students to do a summary activity. And to me, that's a cognitive skill. It's an academic skill. If you're going to bother to reply to a post, you should have something meaningful to say, and you should be able to summarize the meaning of that reply in a title. So give it a try. I would also like you to go to the settings menu. So in D2L, you can go to the settings menu, account settings, and then go to the discussion settings. And there's an option here to, let's see here, include original post in the reply. And if you have that checked, I would like you to deselect it. And here's why. When I'm reading discussions, sorry, my dog's in the background. All right, well, my wife's home with food for breakfast, so I'm going to close out the screencast and just let you know. I'm asking you to follow a few rules and discussions, and we'll see how they go this week. So I'm going to close out. I'm looking forward to a great week, too.